All right, I couldn't be more happy than I am right now to be speaking with this next guy here. He is the one and only Ted Nugent on the line right now. Ted, good morning. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, greetings. Happy eternal barbecue summertime to you, Bill.
It is. And listen, where we're at, I got to tell you, we only have so much time to enjoy a barbecue. So,
well, I was going to ask, from the freedom-drenched swamps of Michigan, where I'm spending the summer, up to my ass in bluegill and bass fillets, by the way, I was going to ask you, up there in real New York, is barbecue still legal?
Well, you'd be surprised because of the emissions.
No, actually, I'm not surprised, man. It's turned into Planet of the Apes. You know, I'm really sorry of the atrocities and the jackbooted thuggery that my blood brothers of New York have to put up with. So I hope that more and more people are performing their We the People responsibilities and taking that state back as we try to take this country back. What an embarrassing time, huh?
It is. Now, can I ask you, speaking of the New York...
No, you can't ask me because during interviews I don't take questions.
That is a very good point. We're talking about the SAFE Act, New York SAFE Act. Were you recently up here at Remington Arms?
No, I was. Well, not recently. I was up there during the last year's tour of the Shut Up and Jam outrage. What a rhythm and blues rock and roll orgy that was. Remington, I think anything with that kind of ballistic coefficient historical firearm celebration deserves me. So I like to fondle hardware everywhere I go. And what a great bunch of products. I think I told Remington when I went by the factory there that I own 6 of everything they've ever made.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I got to tell you, one of the very cool things is that they're hiring again. So despite all of this, Remington Arms is looking to hire another 200 people.
Well, you know, these are the good old days for firearms enthusiasts, for self-evident truth celebrating Second Amendment families, especially in New York, because more of the de Blasios and more of the Barack Obamas and more of the punks of the world threaten our freedoms, the more American families respond by buying guns and ammo. I mean, never before in the history of planet Earth have more citizens owned more firepower than today in 2015 in the United States of America and in New York, including standard capacity magazines. And that's a direct result of the threat against our freedom. So God bless everybody up there that's an NRA member and everybody that's buying firepower. And I think last year at the NRA event and at Remington, I think I gave out an official award to Barack Obama for the gun salesman of the century.
Yeah, it really, I got to tell you, it's exactly what happened. It's incredible.
And more important than what I just explained, and if people don't believe Ted Nugent, they can Google it or go to the library, but there are more guns and ammo in American citizens' hands than ever in the history of humanity. And the FBI Uniform Crime Report and all statistical crime reports have concluded that the crime rate has gone down exponentially as the firepower has gone up. So those that think that guns are a problem, they're the problem, because more guns equals less crime. The statistics are irrefutable, unless, of course, you don't believe in self-defense, which makes you a Cuban.
Ted, I wanted to ask you, I made this point last week. It seems like it's all we heard about for about 2 weeks. You got ISIS chopping off people's heads and walking people off the top of buildings, yet a lion gets killed, and it dominates the headlines for 8 days.
Well, it doesn't surprise you guys. I know that. I know that you're tuned in. You're educated. You have a genuine awareness of the world around us with a reasonable reference to historical evidence, as do I. Even though I wrote Wango Tango and meant it, I mean, my quality of life comes from quality of awareness and quality of being tuned in and in touch the history of our species and the good Earth. And nobody could possibly be surprised at the train wreck of the dumbing down of America. The reaction to this lion in Zimbabwe, which, by the way, guys, I refuse to give a name to a wild animal. So he was a wild lion in Zimbabwe. The collar was invisible unless somebody can produce a photograph where the collar was visible, which, by the way, though I digress, I will pursue that digression. The collar was paid for by hunting dollars, so that we would monitor the various species, so that we would maintain the healthiest, thriving balance possible. And in those areas where you have legal lion hunting, you have thriving lion populations. In those areas where Pam Anderson dictates wildlife policy, you'll laugh or throw up. Where you don't have hunting allowed, there are no lions, because nobody's going to pay the dollars necessary for game departments and game wardens and the radio telemetry technology that monitor this particular lion and monitors all various species around the world. This technology has been around since the 1940s. 1950s, studying mountain lions in America. So it is not a surprise that people are more concerned about a renewable wildlife resource being utilized with value than the subhuman demonacy of selling, murdered baby parts. And how about the fact that, I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel very often because typically I only like the band's performance because he has an amazing band. But did Jimmy Kimmel cry over the tens of thousands of Zimbabwean citizens that Mugabe killed? Surely, if he cried over a lion, he must have shed tears of blood at the tens of thousands of human Zimbabwean citizens that were slaughtered by the Mugabe jackbooted thug punks. Surely someone must have seen Jimmy Kimmel cry over that. Tell me he did.
I got to say, that was such an embarrassing moment. I can't even believe that happened. But you said something that makes me want to touch on it, and that is tears of blood. What are your thoughts about Donald Trump, Megyn Kelly, all of this whole – there is just so much going on right now.
Well, I'm a big fan of Donald Trump because I believe in bold, aggressive, unapologetic truth, period. And I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly, though I often turn on Fox just to look at her.
It is a good view.
Sometimes when I'm loading my magazines, I like to just look at her. And I usually sit naked on the couch dropping hot brass on my stuff. Anyhow, I digress because I am funnier than Richard Pryor's Afro on Fire. That being said,
yes.
That being said, I'm afraid the gorgeous, stunning, otherwise professional and tuned-in Megyn Kelly absolutely fell off the cliff of political correctness when she proposed that obnoxious, meaningless, nonsensical, biased question for Donald Trump that did nothing to further the quality of politics. Boy, there's two words that never belong together. Quality of politics in America. So I think what Donald Trump is doing, in fact, I take that back. I know what Donald Trump is doing is representing the absolute heartbreak and anger and frustration at a government gone mad, at a corruption and power abuse by the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branches of our government that is absolutely criminal. And you don't fight a culture war politely like Mr. Rogers, Jeb Bush. You don't fight a culture war destroying the greatest quality of life in the history of the world, the only experiment in self-government, in a calm tone. You get angry, you get pissed, you swing some crowbars, and you lop off heads where necessary. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. And people in the asset column of this country align themselves with Donald Trump because this is a nasty, mean culture war, and you're not going to win it by adjusting your tie.
We're talking to the one and only Ted Nugent. I was going to ask you what you think about Jeb Bush, but you've answered that. And really,
well, not really. I mean, Jeb. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Any one of the guides for my Sunrise Safaris operation, anybody who works with me in the band or the crew or management or the Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild, anybody I know, the guys that help me cut firewood, they'd make a better president than the community disorganizer who's in there ruining things right now. So Jeb Bush would be a grand upgrade from Barack Obama, but not upgrade enough in a culture war, where the power abuse and criminality in our government, the IRS, are you kidding me? Benghazi didn't have security, and then we turned down their squalor in life-threatening situations for security. Hey, guys, my name's Ted Nugent. I play guitar. I have more security on my belt right now than our government provided our representatives in Benghazi.
Right.
That's a crime.
Yeah.
So Jeb Bush is a little too Mr. Rogers for most of us, and Donald Trump is a guy coming in getting ready to clean house because our government, academia, and most of the media need drastic house cleaning, and somebody talking calmly and politely isn't going to get the job done.
What are your feelings though with Trump talking about running a third-party campaign? If he does, it could send Hillary or somebody else on the Democratic side right into the White House.
Yeah, that's an honest review of that possibility.
Yeah,
I think we all know that, but I think the conditions and the criminality, the abuse of power, the corruption in our government right now, and in the media supporting the leftists or the Mao Zedong, Barack Obama, Karl Marx fan club, I think it is so outrageous and threatening that I wouldn't be a bit surprised if a Donald Trump going third party would win the whole shooting match. Being that as it may, I was expecting a little. I don't want any backing down or any increased politeness from Donald Trump. I think he's a pragmatist. He's a utilitarian. He's a rugged individual. He's an asset for America. He produces, and I think he would use that same business regimen in the White House if he attained the presidency. But I think he would do better to stay on point with the deserved condemnation of the Republicans and the Democrats, but go under the Republican banner and act like a Republican for a change. Not Donald Trump acting like a Republican for a change, but the Republicans acting like Republicans for a change. The Republicans have lost their soul. And that, and again, that's not a blanket statement, even though it really sounded like one. Scott Walker is a winner. Rick Perry is a winner. Ted Cruz would make the best president. Carly Fiorina, she would make an amazing leader of the free world. There's a bunch of great guys out there. But I think Donald Trump is the only guy coming in to a horror story swinging an adequate crowbar. That's why he's got so much support.
It is amazing how nobody thought it would be seriously taken, and then even after the debate and after everything went down with Megyn Kelly and all that, his numbers have gone up.
Well, sure, because we're not upset at what the status quo is upset with. We're upset at the status quo and everything they're upset with. Right. Megyn Kelly, heartbreakingly, because she's so good, she's so smart most of the time. If you could go back and see what she did to me after I called our president a subhuman mongrel, because he is dismantling, he is the enemy of America, he is the enemy of freedom, he is tromping and stomping and pissing on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Anybody that doesn't get that might want to call 1-800-NUMBNUT and see if Michael Moore will explain the new movie Bowling for Hygiene. So Megyn Kelly absolutely broke all of our hearts, as only a Megyn Kelly could, when she went into the status quo world.
Yeah.
She isn't status quo, but she started acting and sounding and looking like one. And I don't believe she is. I think she's playing some games. Either that or she's getting bad advice. Either that or she's just getting stupid. But either way, Donald Trump's the good guy. Currently, Megyn Kelly ain't.
Yeah. Do you think that she was Trump? Is it fair to say that during that debate they targeted him?
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were all rolling their eyes and their hands and backstage, seeking the tar and feather boogie.
Because he gets in the way of where the establishment wants to go.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill, let me guess. You're clean and sober and you actually pay attention, because that sounded like a decision and a conclusion by a guy who's clean and sober who actually pays attention. So, yeah, what you believe is common sense and logic and truth is alive and well across the... I travel all over. I did my 6,516th concert. Well, actually, I guess there would be 6,517 because I jammed Cat Scratch Fever with Kid Rock for 2 nights in Detroit the other night.
Wow.
And God, was that fun. I almost forgot what a bad son of a bitch I am. Anyhow, I travel and I hang and I communicate. I mean, come on, I'm Ted Nugent.
Yep.
I haven't had a quote hit record since the damn Yankees, even though Shut Up and Jam was a masterpiece last year. But I had 33.5 million Facebookers for the last 3 weeks. I reach out because what I reek of is self-evident truth, logic, and common sense, which you just stated, Bill, and it's not rare. It's just rare in government. It's almost unheard of in most of the media, and it's absolutely attacked by academia.
Yeah.
So those of us that still set our alarm clocks and bust our ass to be the very best that we can be, to be an asset to our family and our neighborhood and our country and our fellow man and the good Mother Earth by having hunting, fishing, and trapping licenses, we in the asset column are absolutely horrified at the status quo. And that's why Donald Trump represents truth, logic, and common sense, which I know you have to adhere to be productive
right.
in your radio career. That's what everybody has to be respectful of, to be a success and to be an asset to their lives and their families and their neighbors. But and Donald Trump represents that, and academia does not, the government does not, and most of the media does not. So God bless you. And when Megyn Kelly isn't acting like an idiot, God bless her.
Listen, I want to get back to your Facebook stuff, because that set records, and with that number of people. And you say, well, I think Donald Trump could actually win in the general. You got a lot of people behind you. Big numbers. Those were record-breaking social media numbers.
Well, I'm on Facebook right now. I do it every day. I don't spend a whole lot of time. I come in from training the dogs and shooting my bow and arrow and chucking my trap line and fixing fences and tinkering with my trucks. And I come in and I get on Facebook for 10 minutes and I answer a couple dozen of the Facebookers. Sometimes I'll answer hundreds. But I write for deeranddeerhunting.com, sportsmansguide.com, WND, WorldNet Daily, Daily Caller, and a whole bunch of websites and publications. So I'm real busy on the laptop, so I always got Facebook on while I'm creating masterpieces.
Yeah.
Plus, I jam on my guitars every day, and I make music every day. So I'm a busy man, but the communication factor is critical. It's pivotal today.
Yeah.
If the people that stayed home during the 2012 election stay home again, Mao Zedong will laugh hysterically in his grave because the Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton destructo derby, the fundamental transformation of America from the last best place into a suburb of Indonesia will stay on the fast track, and we get what we deserve. So communication, my 33.5 million Facebookers, believe me, out of those 33.5 million, I think 33.4 million want me to run for president because I'm like Donald Trump on steroids because I never back down. I don't play games. I will call a spade a spade.
No, we know that to be true. We're talking to Ted Nugent, of course, and speaking of masterpieces, was that, did I hear your song in a commercial in the Super Bowl? Who was that for?
Well, I guess Carl's Jr. made one hell of a greasy-ass hamburger with one fine-ass, greasy-ass bitch chomping on it. What are you going to use? Tom Petty music? You know what I mean? No, Stranglehold is the breeding soundtrack of all mankind.
Yeah.
And they hired me and bought a piece of my Stranglehold for that commercial. I thought it was adorable.
And she, the way she ate that burger.
Yes, indeed. Well, man does not live by burgers alone.
That is true.
That's all. Luckily, I've got the most beautiful woman in the world. My wife, Shemaine. She is the queen of the forest. She is the Zumba goddess, and she's going to the International Zumba Convention after I jam with Charlie Daniels. And she teaches the Zumba wenches how to shake that money maker, baby.
Have you seen her picture?
So good.
She is hot.
So I don't need to look at anybody else, but when one comes on television, for example, when I'm driving down the highway, I see a nice buck alongside of the road. It doesn't mean I'm going to shoot it.
That's true.
But I get to look at it. You know what I mean?
That is absolutely true. You can look at it on TV, by the way. The Spirit of the Wild, which you were named the best host on the Outdoor Channel again.
Yeah, 23 years, man. We kick everybody's ass. Ted Nugent, Spirit of the Wild, #1 hunting show in the history of the world. How adorable, huh?
That is pretty awesome, although, she looks better than you.
Because I don't play games. I don't apologize. I don't wipe the blood off the animals when I kill them. I kill them. I grill them. Get used to it.
And that's why when we give these animals names and then they're in the headline, it's like they use the name as if it's a person. And it's
just embarrassing. I've been to Zimbabwe. I've hunted lions. I mean, when we kill a lion, we're actually saving dozens of lions. I mean, you really got to be brain dead and just maniacally clinging to your ignorance and denial not to know that when you kill bears, you make room for next year's bears, because habitat will only support X amount of life. Does the author of Wang Dang Sweet Poontang really have to explain this in 2015? God help us all.
I know.
So the point is, when we kill a lion, it is a sacred gift. We are saving other lions from this older male that will cause more and more cubs. The number one cause of death in lions' world and bears' world is when the old males eat the young.
Yeah, we saw that just the other day.
So when we kill an old outcast male, we're actually saving lions. Plus, the meat is sacred. It is cherished. The body fluids, the eyeballs, the skin, the teeth, the claws, the tooth, fang, claw, the hide, everything. Everything is utilized with ultra reverence, and the money is the only source for game wardens and wildlife management. Are you kidding me? Ted Nugent has to explain this in 2015. No wonder Barack Obama is the president.
So if that tour guide, that safari guide, whatever, the hunting guide, lured that lion out of a preserve, would he be in the wrong? And they're blaming the dentist. How would the dentist have known? He's relying on the tour guide, right?
Bill. Let me try to explain it to my fellow man.
Because you've been there.
Yes. Dear God in heaven, it's like somebody claiming that putting a worm on a hook is unethical fishing.
Yeah.
That's how you do that. That's why the hunters' dollars put together these sanctuary, from the Slough to the Kruger to the Hwange to Yellowstone and Yosemite. I mean, and the Smoky. Are you kidding me? Who do you think pays for the game wardens and the radio telemetry and the game scouts and the anti-poaching squads? Hunters' dollars pay for that.
Right.
That's why big lions will cost you $50,000. And of course they lured it out. That the Hwange will only support X amount of life. So whether it's a kudu or a Cape buffalo or an elephant or a lion or a leopard or a dik-dik or a diker or a sable or a zebra or a wildebeest, those are renewable resources. The people need the meat. They need the money. And the animals come out of these sanctuaries because the entire surrounding area is legal hunting.
Right. Think
fishing hook with a worm on it. In order to get the fish to eat it, you got to lure them to your hook. That's how all those thousands and thousands of lions and leopards and bears are killed every year, throughout the years, because they're surplus. They need to generate revenues, and they need to generate jobs. They need to generate protein. They need to generate massive amounts of dollars to pay for the wildlife management infrastructure. You know, I got to tell you, I guess when Michael Moore can win an award for a documentary when he never made a documentary in his life, I suppose people can think that lions, and I've seen these words used, African lions are helpless, defenseless, and beloved. I would ask anybody out there, is sushi not beloved?
Right.
Is cordon bleu not beloved? So a lion is more beloved than a deer or an elk or a salmon? Really?
Yeah.
What kind of feeble punk thinks like that?
Well, they did a great job. PETA or whatever organization did a great job of getting it out there, and people like Jimmy Kimmel not only bit but cried.
Well, Bill, guess what? Guess what happened just hours before I called you? Zimbabwe reopened all lion hunting because they have to.
Yeah.
They've completely reopened it. It was only a slight burp in the name of political correctness, but like all the Zimbabwe, you go to my Facebook and you'll see the articles authored by Zimbabwean doctors and Zimbabwean community leaguers, not the corrupt Mugabe jackbooted gangster crip and blood punks, real Zimbabwean families who are just astonished and absolutely let down that Americans and other people in air-conditioned areas are pissed off that a lion died when the people in Zimbabwe rejoice when a lion dies because it represents food and money. Hello.
Well, I have lured you in over the time we were allotted,
yeah.
and I don't want to get me in trouble over this one, but
no, you're good, man, Bill. I always like talking to you because common sense and self-evident truth and logic is alive and well, and I salute you for that, man.
Tomorrow, it is tomorrow, right? The volunteer anniversary volunteer jam to benefit military families.
Yowza, my Gibson birdlands are breeding right now just to hurt people.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, my God. And Derek St. Holmes is going to be there, and Dave Caswini, the bass player on Wango Tango, and a drummer, an extraordinary drummer, John's going to be there. So we're going to crank like absolute animals, man.
Pretty awesome. It's in Nashville. Go to Facebook, send out a question. You might just answer their question.
Yowza.
All right, Ted Nugent, thanks, man. I
Awesome.
really appreciate it.
All right, Godspeed. God bless
right.
America, and God bless the veterans and all the U.S. military heroes and their families out there. Freedom ain't free.
Ted Nugent, we'll talk to you again. Thank you.
Godspeed.
All right, bye-bye.
That
is Ted Nugent.
Check out his Facebook page. It's pretty cool. He's got a lot of hunting pictures. His wife is an absolute knockout. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could agree with absolutely everything that comes out of his mouth.
Not everything.
But listen, I'm surprised he's a Trump supporter. That really surprised me. But then again, when we think about it, I guess I'm not surprised. Got a break. We'll come right back. It's First News Keeler in the morning at WIBX.